I'm Marty Gold Cummings, and this is Marty Talks. We're chatting with your favorite stars, queens, and politicians to get all the tea on all things political. What? Peppermint!
Hey, girl.
We're here with Peppermint and her loud-ass neighbor.
You heard that too?
Girl, clip clop up those stairs, bitch. She had places to go, honey.
She was in a rush, darling.
That makes me think of, like when you're getting back to your apartment and you have to pee so bad, and then it's like you have to pee even more the closer you get to your door. That's
what
I
is
envision,
that?
like,
it's so psychological.
That's what it is. Yes, your neighbor is like, I gotta go.
I gotta go. It's coming.
Oh my God. Hey girl, thank you for joining us today. For our audience, we are here with Peppermint.
Hey girl.
I love you so much. I was watching you and Sherry Vine because you guys just posted the 10-year anniversary of your Lady Gaga Beyonce spoof.
Yeah. I can't believe it's already been 10 years. And that video has still gone strong. There's so many people that say that was like one of the first things that they saw and that they remember that video from that long ago.
Girl, I remember when that video came out. That was y'all are in the back of that paddy wagon. What do you call it? What do you call those things?
Pedicab, not paddy wagon, although it should have been.
I love that. Oh my God. That's back in the day. Like you and Sherry Vine and like the Barracuda days, like serving. Oh my God. That was such a great reminder of the good old days, a simpler time.
Yeah. And we had like $500 to do the video, which, it's a decent amount of money, but not to imitate a Lady Gaga video. And so we tried our best to like make it look, that was like the best we could do. And then when we did that pedicab, I was like, girl, we're not getting in this thing. We could barely fit. The driver was like, looking at his watch.
Pedicabs are like $45
a minute.
So your whole
the $500 went to the pedicab. Girl.
It's a good video though. Everybody check it out. It's a good video. It gave me the giggles this morning. I loved it. We are deep into this quarantine as we're recording this, and I was grateful for the joy of watching that. Girl, my quarantine, I had 2 bowls of homemade nachos today, and I've been taking pints of ice cream and melting it in the microwave to make milkshakes. That's where I'm at. Oh. How are you doing?
That sounds delicious, honey. You're going to be my first stop post-quarantine. I got to tell you that. I'm doing pretty good. I'm here with my candy, and I've just been eating pretty much nonstop as well. I've become reacquainted with whole pints of ice cream.
Yeah, melt it. Put it in the microwave. 30 seconds.
It sounds delicious. And, oh, okay. Did you see that message? I've just been doing my thing. I've been trying my best to avoid the temptation to join TikTok, and I'm winning so far because I can't stand TikTok. I just don't like it. I don't like what it represents. I don't like what it's doing to humanity. I don't think it's good.
I have a TikTok, and I
it's addicting, isn't it?
Well, no, I don't like it either. I feel like a 99-year-old grandma looking. I'm like, I don't know what to do. And I just post videos for my Instagram. It's me being like talking about rent suspension and political stuff, which is not what TikTok is for. Like TikTok is people doing dances, and it's me being like, Governor Cuomo, you need to do this, that, and the other. So nobody watches it on there. On Instagram, those videos do really well, but not on TikTok. So my first TikTok, I didn't get it. So it took me 75 minutes to make a 20-second TikTok. And the TikTok was me just going, I'm going to make a TikTok or something. It's so fucking stupid.
I can't. I don't have all that time to be trying to learn some new dance challenge. It's just too much.
Girl, yeah. I can't dance to begin with. So fuck the challenge. Like, I'm not doing it. I'm like surprised. Like, I feel like you're a good dancer though.
I like dancing, but I just think that there's many other ways that I'd like to be spending my time rather than trying to figure out an app or a website that literally uses every aspect of technology and social media only in a 20-second bite, and you're not getting paid for it. And so I can't.
It's a fad. It's a fad.
Yeah.
Instagram will buy it or something. I don't know.
They will.
We'll see. Yeah, I'm not into it either.
TikTok will become a filter on Instagram in no time.
In no time. Yeah, I love Instagram though. I also like, everybody hates Twitter. I love Twitter.
I love Twitter because Twitter, you can really, if you're smart, really toe the line between being an activist and speaking righteously about certain topics and educating people, and also being a messy, person on, like you can trash talk a little bit. You can be random. People don't mind a little ass shot now and again.
That's right. Now I have to be careful on my Twitter because my Twitter is primarily for I do primarily my political career on Twitter and activism. But I also every now and again, full tea. I get nervous to open my Twitter on the subway because it will be like Elizabeth Warren, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, somebody getting dick down and fisted, BuzzFeed, so it's a smorgasbord of excitement, and you never know what's going to pop up.
It's usually, now this is my nightmare. It used to just be people getting dick down and fisted, but now it's like, oh, here's your friend during coronavirus also getting dick down and fisted because they're turning their account into an OnlyFans. Like, I have so many people whose asses and titties I didn't think I would ever see, who now they're like, well, join the club. It's
people
worse
are
than
out of
TikTok.
work and the rent is not suspended. They got to make their money.
They got to make that coin.
Sex work is work. I fully support it. I will say though, I get nervous like that I'm going to accidentally retweet.
Me too. And or not even that. I mean, Twitter did something sneaky, I think, where all of a sudden it would force all of your followers to know exactly what you were looking at on Twitter. And I don't like that.
You're lying. You're lying.
No, girl, if you interact with it in any way, shape, or form, your mama knows. I just liked a dick pic by this guy. And one of my girlfriends, who Bonnie Milligan, who was on Broadway with me,
I love
said,
Bonnie.
Girl, what is this huge dick that you're like? And I'm like, what is going on? She's like, why do I have all this dick on my timeline? And I'm like, oh!
Wait, but I never like it. So I should be fine.
Don't like it. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like it.
You can list it. You can list it. I think
you
can list it. I think you can add your things to a list and privately so that people's profiles that you want to follow, you don't even have to follow them. You can just put them on a list and then it shows you, here's all them people who, here's all the skin.
Well, that's good because I don't want to be like, tweeting about my, politics and then be like, and here's somebody getting peed on.
Yeah, it really
not that I'm into that, but there's nothing wrong if you are.
There's nothing wrong, but it really does at least distract me a little bit from the core message.
That's a nice distraction here in the quarantine. I love that you brought up Bonnie Milligan. I love her.
She's so talented and she deserves all of the things.
So talented. And you were on Broadway. Y'all, if you did not know, Peppermint is a motherfucking Broadway star. Actually, she just didn't walk on stage on Broadway. She had the solos. She had the entrance. Girl, Broadway star.
It was quite a fun experience.
Tell me, I was there opening night. So gagged. I've known you for a long time. I love you so much. And to see, do you know those moments where you're watching your friend, their dreams come true in front of you and you're like, oh, my girl is fucking doing it. It was so incredible seeing you on that stage, on a Broadway stage. I was so proud of you.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a hard thing to kind of get into the swing of. I mean, being in any kind of show, obviously, as a performer, it's hard, but we're passionate about it. And then doing theater, A lot of people know, like, everything from doing something called Tech Week, which is where you're putting together all of the technical aspect of the show, which means standing around a lot and having to redo things and change things. And it's the most nerve-wracking a performance experience can be in theater. And so a lot of people understand that. But all that, in addition to originating a role that
Mm-hmm.
has some cultural significance, that's not necessarily, at least in my eyes, I didn't treat it or view it as like sort of a, kind of a standard kind of throwaway role. It was something that had some significance to a lot of people. And then, you know, opening a show on Broadway, it was just like so much more than I bargained for. Girl, we would get new copies of the script daily for one whole month while we were in previews. And it was like the Wild West. They're like, oh, this is the show you thought you were in. Oh, surprise, here's a whole new script, 3 new songs. The songs you sang yesterday are out. Here's the new one. And it was like, ah! I thought I was going to die. And I was such a bitch for that whole month.
But you did it. Ooh, baby, do you know what that was? That your song?
That's it.
Yeah. Girl, yeah, I was gagging. I was gagging.
And it's one of my favorite. It's. Oh,
what did you say?
We got. Are you there? Okay.
Yeah. Did you get cut off?
Blip.
We're back.
No, it didn't get cut off. I think it just we're back. Yeah, it was awesome. It was life-changing, and I hope I get the chance to do it again. And what was so great about it was being able to meet all these queer people, who hear from them how much they resonated with not only my character, but then also the show. It was definitely hands down, at least, and from what I've seen, one of the queerest, and I mean queerest in terms of not only gay, trans, non-binary, kind of a gender identity and sexuality piece, but then also queerest from a political point of view. It's one of the queerest musicals that I've seen in a long time.
It was such a great season between like you had your show, Head Over Heels. There was the Prom on Broadway at the same time. It was such a queer positive season on Broadway. And I thought like, it was emotional, not only seeing you, like my girlfriend up there join it, but seeing these stories being told, knowing that the significance of having, a trans lead actress in a Broadway musical for the first time in history. Broadway's been around a long fucking time. This was the first time in history this is happening. We have the lesbian story going on. We have like the story with the parents. And then you have the prom down the street happening. And in this day and age,
there's also Straight White Men and the Nap, which had Alexandra Billings, Kate Bornstein, and Ty Defoe, who are other trans actors on Broadway at the same time. Those were plays, not musicals, but it was a really special time, and obviously once in a lifetime.
Yeah, and now Alexandra Billings is doing Wicked.
Yeah, I'm excited to
Madame
go and
Marvel.
see her.
So I just thought that like you said, the plays that you talked about, plus the musicals. In this political landscape, you have a president who is such a bigot. Like he's a bigot. He's a racist. He's xenophobe. He's transphobic, homophobic. You have Mike Pence who hates all LGBTQI plus people. And then you have a $1 billion industry that is putting queer stories in the front for a season. It's, oh my God. It's so, how do the audiences like, a lot of audiences are not New Yorkers who come to New York shows. So what was that like experience like?
Many of the audiences were not, I mean, obviously I don't know exactly where everybody was from, but you could kind of get a feel. Many of the Broadway audiences aren't, but ours mostly were. Ours felt very in-house.
Okay.
There were obviously we got some tourists and some visitors, but for the most part, it seemed like it was started kind of with the family and then moved outward. There was a time or two when we had a red hat, and the occasional red hat.
No, ma'am.
Which is like, okay, cool. That's your politics. I'm guessing that you might have issue with what you're going to see on this stage. But in addition to that, you're in a theater indoors. Since when? I mean, if we're going by like tradition.
Take your hat off.
Take your hat off. You're in a theater indoors. Men don't wear hats. I'm not saying that we need to keep these gender rules, but I'm just saying if you are a red hat wearing person who believes in all the tradition that this administration talks about, then you should not be at least wearing a hat at a motherfucking Broadway show.
That's right, Miss Emily Post, etiquette school. Okay, that is facts are facts. You know, my great grandmother, if you had your elbows on the table at supper or you had a hat on, she would get up. She's 4'11". She would get up and come and poke you with a fork in your shoulder to let you know that your manners are improper.
Yes.
Take your motherfucking hat off in this theater, okay? Unless you're a fierce church lady, take your motherfucking hat off.
Exactly. That's pretty much it. But yeah, the follow up to that story is the person wearing that red hat decided to not only remove the hat but remove himself. He left halfway through at intermission.
Oh wow. Wow.
And he dragged his wife out, who seemed to really be enjoying it. But yeah.
Well, maybe, I mean, that's unfortunate that he did that because he missed out on a really incredible show, an incredible story. But maybe the silver lining could be they got home and his wife was like, hey, you know what, Ted or what, Jim? I really like that show. And maybe a dialogue was had. I always try to hope that, I hope that a dialogue is at least started. Easier said than done, I guess. But that's my hope. I don't know. Our country is in such a... I mean, we're looking at it right now. We're all locked indoors because of incompetence of leadership, and it's scary, right? It's a scary thing. So I hope dialogue can happen because we're all just people trying to put one foot in front of the other, right?
Mm-hmm. It is really interesting. Like, I feel like I'm trapped in a never-ending season of The Circle on Netflix. We're just captive in your house. You can't leave. And all you can do is you're forced to watch TV and be on social media to have any connection to the outside world. And so I really did like The Circle, the Circle US. I didn't watch Circle UK, Circle Brazil, and Circle France is just released. And so I'm not really, now I'm feeling like this is just, it's too close to home, so I won't watch it. But,
you won't watch it, yeah.
Yeah. But it is interesting. Like, it's so crazy how in 1 month or so of this lockdown, we have less pollution reported. There hasn't been any school shootings. It's really interesting to see the impact, both negative and positive, that humans have on the world and humanity.
Yeah. I mean, I saw that thing. Hillary Clinton tweeted she shared somebody's tweet today where they said this was the first March. It was the first March since 2002 that we haven't had a school shooting. And she replied and said, it shouldn't take a pandemic for that to happen. And I could not believe, no, that's not true. I could believe that in America, that is a real stat. And that's sad that our students aren't able to get an education that they deserve because of the fear of gun violence. And now, like you said, I watched this really funny compilation video of, animals coming back into places that they, because highways have separated them or pollution, they're now able to kind of come. There was an alligator going to the mall, a coyote running across the Golden Gate Bridge, these, and it's just kind of like, we have such a negative for all the positive we've done and like this technology we're using right now to do this podcast. What an amazing thing human beings have accomplished. But the other side of it is, what are we doing to our planet? And so hopefully this will help us, our government, because you look at the other governments in the world, the other developed nations. So maybe, hopefully this says, okay, we need the Green New Deal. We need education that's fair for everybody. We need universal health care and Medicaid for all, because it's showing us what happens when we're in a crisis like this.
Yeah, it's true.
Now, you, as a performer, you've always been pretty political, yeah?
Yeah, I always believed, just because of the time that my drag, if you carbon date my drag, back to the early 90s, it was just born of a time when politics was intrinsic and infused with drag in a way that I don't know that it is every day right now. Like, the big things that were on everyone's mind in the 90s, obviously, were marriage equality, which was nowhere. It was obviously a decade or two away from us. Abortion and pro-life, pro-choice argument, um, and gays in the military, religious freedoms. These are still kind of a different version of the same conversations that we're having, but the laws were less on the side in favor of people who were women identified, queer, and minorities and people of color, obviously. And so just we didn't have as much progress as we have today. And so and also drag didn't have the platform that it had. And so we really kind of made the most of the clubs and the soapboxes that we had in the nightlife in a different way. And so I was really heavily inspired by people like Mistress Formica, Lady Bunny, Honey Dijon. These are people that were like so they were major players in nightlife and great performers, but also always gave you a dose of, politics with their performance, which is great.
So I love that you talked about, you mentioned Formica and Lady Bunny. And Lady Bunny she's still out there yelling about politics today, which work, honey. Bitch. Like, she is out there. And okay, so, I'm very political. Obviously, I'm running for city council. And I see both sides. Oftentimes people are like, yes, thank you for using your voice, your platform. But then every now and again, somebody creeps in and goes, God, aren't you supposed to just like tell jokes? Like, what and I'll get that like response, like, oh, just tell. And it's like, yeah, girl, I can tell a fierce fucking joke and then tell you to vote because X, Y, and Z, Do you ever encounter that kind of side of it?
Luckily, I don't. And I think, either I don't encounter it or I really don't give a shit about those perspectives. I don't care. If you're not here for whatever it is that I'm serving, then fine. But it's just really impossible as a human. It's just not it's cyclical. Drag is a reflection of what happens in real life and how people interpret the pain and the stuff that we go through. So all the crazy stuff, drag is the ultimate of turning lemons into lemonade. Any performer, whether you're a comic, a musician, a comedian, or a drag queen, or a drag entertainer who is also a comedian and a musician and a whatever, every single performer takes what they see in real life and takes inspiration from somewhere and puts it on stage, puts it in their act. Everyone. And so that includes what you see happening in front of you. And if what you see happening is people, making laws against you and people dying of AIDS and HIV, or people, having a riot on your block, nobody told, I can't say nobody, but I would find it really bold of someone to go back to 1990s early hip hop and rap and tell those rappers, do not talk about anything that's happening in your neighborhoods. What are they going to talk about? And so this is what's happening to us. I read an article of I don't even remember what the publication, but the conversation got turned into a damn meme with me and Bob the Drag Queen.
I know about it. I know about this.
Yeah. And the writer was going back. Not only in the article was the writer trashing Drag Race and then kind of many of the queens personally who had been on Drag Race, but then and criticizing all those people. Then if you go back to his timeline and his social media, he's very vocal about like a lot of he's extreme. He seems to be purporting.
Well, I looked up his Twitter, and he has some very unsettling opinion.
Yeah, and so some of these opinions are pretty, inflammatory. So I'm like, whatever. Oh, hold up, here comes Google. And so, but in the article, he was basically like, drag queens are not supposed to have any feelings. We don't want to know about, every queer person and gay person did not grow up with pain or discrimination, and we don't want to hear about it on Drag Race ever. And I'm like, what?
But the wonderful thing about a show, are there moments of Drag Race that are problematic? Absolutely, yes. But Yeah, but that's like any kind of moving mechanism, right? And
Mm-hmm.
hopefully when you know better, you do better is the saying,
Mm-hmm.
you know? But the other side of it is when you're able to say, take Jackie Cox, for example, this uh, last week's episode with
Uh-huh.
AOC. And
Mm-hmm.
Jackie Cox got up there and is talking about how her mom is Iranian and she's from this
Mm-hmm.
background. And then you had a
Mm-hmm.
congresswoman, a sitting member of Congress on this TV show telling her, hey, I am proud that you're here in this country, and I am proud to fight for your rights as a queer person and your mom's rights as a woman from Iran. Like the impact that's going to have, whether your experience is that or not, that impact is so major. So
I'm
this
not
guy,
Iranian, and I'm not, I'm not necessarily touched by some of the, or affected directly by some of the things that, like citizenship and things like that Jackie was talking about. But I was personally moved by that exchange, and I could see the significance of it. And the only way that I would have a problem with it is if I didn't want that message to get out. If I didn't want anyone to focus on the discrimination, the trials and tribulations that people in the queer community have had, and clearly that's where that writer was, because
well,
he's
that
conservative
writer,
and doesn't want anybody to focus on those things.
yeah, I was looking at some of his tweets and just, no,
Girl,
ma'am, no, ma'am,
and the whole paper. The
no,
whole
ma'am.
paper is gone. What is it called? I don't remember.
I don't remember either. I don't care. Fuck them. I think drag is, I think it's wonderful to tell stories and drag, not only to tell jokes and do humorous things, but also like get a message out there. And you can get a message out there in humor too, you know? But that's
Mm-hmm.
what I always say. Drag, in every form of drag, we're the ones who, when you need to raise money for an organization or get
Mm-hmm.
somebody information, who do you call? You call drag
Drag
queens because
queens. Mm-hmm.
we're the ones with the microphone in our hand.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, drag has been leading the way since before Stonewall.
Let us speak.
That's right. That's right. How has it been for you? You know, I loved when you shared your story of high school. You're from
Mm-hmm.
Georgia, right?
No, I'm from Delaware.
Wait, why did I think Georgia? I went to high school in Delaware.
Where, bitch?
St. Mark's.
You went to St. Mark's fucking Academy? Excuse my French.
Wait, where did you go to high school?
I went to Wilmington High, but it's closed. They closed when you were in high school.
Wait a minute. Why did I think? What am I talking?
I don't know, girl. You got me mixed up with Bob the drag queen.
No, because Bob and I did an interview where we were talking about her being from Georgia. Now, wait a minute, bitch. I went to St. Mark's High School on Pike Creek Road in Wilmington, Delaware.
Where it is. I went to Wilmington High School right down the street.
No, you did not!
On DuPont Avenue.
Girl, Christiana Mall is where we would hang out, okay?
Girl, Christiana Mall that was the social media.
That was the place. And you get a Grotto's pizza, bitch.
Oh, honey, Grotto Pizza! Oh,
Wait,
girl.
did you grow up in Wilmington?
I grew up in Delaware, Wilmington, Delaware, yeah.
Bitch, I have known
I'm from
you for
Pennsylvania.
10 years. 10 years, bitch. And of all the conversations we've had,
we've never had this one.
Of all the times we've hung out, never did I know, bitch.
I didn't know you were either, girl. It's so crazy.
Girl, well,
I'm from Pennsylvania.
I was born in Elkton, Maryland, which is outside of Wilmington.
Oh my God.
So I'm white trash the house down boots, okay?
Girl, not Elkton. Girl,
honey, Eastern Shore of Maryland.
They would have them KKK rallies marching up and down.
It's a mess. It's a scary place. But it's different. It's getting better now. I did my very first Pride there. I threw the very first Pride in my hometown.
When was that?
Last year.
Yeah.
And,
Jesus Lord.
Did I ever tell you the story, Peppermint? Well, no, this happened. Remember when I won the Entertainer of the Year award and you and Bob were there? And I told the story of the kid, the grandkid?
Yes. Was that in Maryland?
It was in Maryland. This kid. I don't know if I talked about this on another podcast that we did. Did I, Mitch, about the kid? I don't want to repeat a story, but it's amazing. So like I do once a year I do a Broadway review where I take Broadway performers down, and then once a year I do a drag review where I take drag performers down to my little hometown outside of Elkton, and then we did our first Pride. And the very first concert we did, the sweet grandmother came up to me after the show. She says, I want you to meet my grandson. And this really
Mhm.
awkward kid who was painfully shy. It was like, oh, hi, nice to meet you. And the next year, same grandmother comes up to me, hey, I want you to meet my granddaughter. Same
Mm.
kid. And she goes, this girl, had confidence. She was wearing a beautiful dress. She had on makeup. She was smiling. And she said, hey, it's really nice to see you again. Your show helped me come out to my family as who I really am, to see somebody from
Mm.
this town, which is known for this crazy backwards thinking, that you were talking
Mhm.
about. She's like, to see that there's other people out there who are queer and living their lives
So
positively. And I was like, Mark, bitch, like, oh, now she's in college,
oh
and
my
really doing well.
gosh. That's so
But
great.
yeah,
Yeah. I remember I did I never really went into Elkton, Maryland much. It was kind of like
don't,
my mom was
don't.
like, it's the no man's land. It's like, do not once you cross what was it? What road is it? From off of Main Street in Newark, whatever the road that goes right into
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Elkton.
You got to go
Don't
around that
go
big curve through the
yeah,
campus, and then
don't
you're in there.
don't
Yeah.
go there. But I did a show. I did a community theater production in Rising Sun,
Now that's
Maryland.
scary.
Girl,
Rising Sun is scary. Do not go.
honey,
My mother used to tell
girl.
me, and I'm from the country. My mother used to tell me, she said, because my mother knew my ass was gay as hell. And she said, don't you take yourself to Rising Sun, because she thought I wouldn't come back. She said, do not
No,
go to
yeah,
Rising Sun.
yeah.
She
And
would tell me.
we were in the a quick
It's
story. We were in
scary.
the it was a play, but kind of a diverse group. And by diverse, I meant one black person and everybody else white. And we were it was all teenagers, and we were at the pizza parlor in Rising Sun. We had just gotten our pizza, and then we started to get food poisoning, which was a little questionable, but whatever. Maybe that was a coincidence.
No, that's Rising
Um,
Sun, girl. They don't have
yeah,
enough electricity
yeah,
to heat the
they
oven.
weren't washing their hands,
No.
and so and so we were in the parking lot. I'll never forget it, dancing and having a good time, playing the music, just as kids would do in a pizza parlor,
Yes.
not doing heroin or anything crazy. No judge people who are using substances, but we were not, and we were just hanging out, having a good time. And the cops were called, and the cop came up to me, nobody else. We were all dancing. Cop came up to me and like ID'd me, asked me my name, asked me all this stuff, asked me what I'm doing there. And then we were like, we're just dancing, and we're like 14, 15. And then he says, you're lucky it's not nighttime. You better get home. The
No.
cop said this.
Well, girl, let me tell you,
Girl.
my mother always told me, don't you go to Rising Sun now.
Yeah.
I can't believe you're from there.
I'm from there, girl.
You
I
know, one of
can't
my
even believe it.
favorite moments of my drag career, when I was still fresh into the world. My
Mhm.
very first out of town gig, and now I'm grateful I have a career where I'm able to travel, all over. But at the time, this was my very first out of town gig, was to Atlantic City, New Jersey, with you to judge
Oh my
that
gosh.
thing, and I lost all my money at the slot machines, but I think you
We're at
won.
that slap. I won like $100 or something. Something at the maybe it was $20, whatever. I took in five and multiplied it. And we were sitting next to each other. It was like the Lucky Shamrocks or some kind of Irish thing. Um, and yeah, that was a good time. That was my first time playing at the slots.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Now, whenever I do, I perform on the Atlantis cruise a lot, and I will go to that casino, and my husband has to stop me. He's like, "Get your ass! You're gonna spend your whole fucking
Don't
fee."
do it, girl.
Girl,
Don't do
I'm
it.
not. I'm not. I don't even smoke now, but I'll be down there like, okay, I got mine. Just having a good old time.
Mm-mm.
I love to gamble. Yeah, but I always say I don't have any vice. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't do drugs. I'm in a monogamous relationship. I don't eat meat. If I want to play the slot machines one time a year, bitch, I'm gonna stick a nickel in that slot machine. Okay, I do it once a
Okay.
year. Once a
Just
year.
budget.
My only vice. Once a year. I cannot believe you are from Wilmington, bitch. I can't get over this. Oh, okay. So what got us into that was I wanted to know, have you talked to anybody, because you talked about your experience in high school
Hmm.
on Drag Race, and I'm sure that helped a lot of kids, a lot of young people going through uh, their life experiences. Have you connected with anybody from your high school since that episode aired a couple years ago?
Well, there's definitely some people that I kept in touch with kind of all along. Um, uh, People that I knew in and around that time. Um, I haven't heard from um, a lot of the people that were involved in that particular incident, but I do remember years later, and this was, I mean, only a few years later. So I was still, I mean, I think I might have moved to New York, which was a couple years after I graduated. I saw the perpetrator in the mall, not in the Christiana Mall, in the Concord Mall.
No.
Um, I saw the
I'm sorry, not
perpetrator.
the Concord Mall. See, the people listening, they're not
They're
gonna
not going to
know,
know the difference.
but I know.
Saw him in the Concord Mall. I was working there, and he was in there, and I think I was working, and I saw him, and it was just he did not look the same, and so I was like, you know what? Nature had its revenge, if you know what I'm saying. But there have been, I did, every once in a while, I go on these sort of crusades to go back and kind of touch base with people who, in some way, small or large, made a difference or an impact in my life.
Mhm.
That were people that were really kind of, progressive and open-minded and protective and really friendly towards me. Um, and just really made an impact. My art teacher, my drama teacher, the first person I ever came out to, it wasn't in high school, but we did go to high school together. It was in second grade, and his name's Gavin Downs,
You
and
came
he
out to
doesn't
him in
mind
second
me.
grade?
I came out to him in second grade. How old are you? 8 or something in second grade? Um,
Like 7.
I don't know, something like that. And I was in second grade, and I came out to him. Now, I didn't have the language that we have today. Like, I wasn't like, I mean, that would have been fierce. I'm like, darling, I'm transgender, I'm non-binary. Well, I didn't have that language. But he knew what I was talking about, and I was
Mm.
able to articulate it in some way. And he got it. And he always was really respectful and really sweet and really kind. And that just kind of gave me the courage to continue to do that. And so I did come out by today's standards at a very old age, but I was 12 when I officially, came out as liking boys. And then I think the first person I expressed my transness to, I was probably like 17, which is, again, grandma by today's standards. But back in 1994, 5, 6, that was, way ahead of its time. Um, and so, yeah, I have gone back on Facebook. Works wonders for that. Going back and
Yeah, that's
and
right.
reconnecting.
But there's never like a wrong or right time to come out. It's when and anyway, it's
No.
it's your way. I just
Hmm.
started using. It's only in the past. I'm 32 now, and it's just in the last year that
Are you
I was
calling
like,
me
oh,
old, darling?
no, ma'am. No, I
I'm
was
just
saying, but
kidding.
I was saying, for me, it's like, I came out as gay when I was, I don't know, 14, maybe 14 years
Hmm.
old. Everybody knew, but I
Hmm.
came out at 14. But it's only in this last year, not even the full year, maybe last like 7 or 8 months, that I've started saying, oh, actually, the language I had at the time was I'm a gay man, but really, I don't connect with a gender, which is why I started using they,
Hmm.
them pronouns, because it's like, well, I don't. And Peppermint, I remember the story when I was a little kid. I looked up at my mom in the kitchen, who was 6 years old, and I just, out of nowhere, my mom's cooking dinner, and I said, I'm in the wrong body. And she said, what are you talking about? No, I never heard that from anybody. This wasn't something you
Hmm. Hmm.
heard in Maryland, in the
Yeah.
country. There was nowhere for me to hear that language. And I said, I'm in the wrong body. She said, what are you talking about? And I said, I just know this isn't, I feel different.
Hmm.
And so when a couple months ago, when I had the conversation with my parents of, this is why I use they, them pronouns, this is how I identify.
Hmm.
It really, I went back to that conversation as a 6-year-old, like, oh, as a child, I knew that I didn't connect with a specific Gender. And for me, it's very like, my husband likens it to the two-spiritism of indigenous people, right? Like I feel like I float between genders. And as a child, I just didn't have the language for it, but I knew there was something. So there's no wrong or right time, even for, kids are now, they're, like 12 and they're like, I'm non-binary, but it took me till I was 31 years old to do it. So there's no wrong or right time. Blessings. The kids are going to save us. I hope.
They sure are, because the kids adjust so quickly. In addition, I mean, even though the TikToking is the TikToking is the bane of my existence, but the kids they teach us a lot, and they're able to adapt pretty quickly. Thank God to all of this stuff, because the kids are usually what people are using as their argument against us when they're talking about wanting to protect the kids and shield them from whatever the thing they are being exposed to. And the kids get it. The kids are already doing it, and they get it.
The kids get it. And I want to tell you, before we say goodbye, when I was a baby drag queen starting out my life, people always say, who are the people that are the reasons you do drag? Who are the people that, like, when you started, that you were like, I want to be like them? I always say Sherry Vine, Peppermint, Shaquita, Varla Jean, Miss Richfield. Like, because y'all paved the way for me and Bob and Tina Burner and Monet and Bootsy and Pixie and all these Britta, all these girls after. So I thank you so much for not only your friendship, but your activism, and you're a kind fucking person, and I love you so much.
Aw, thank you, girl.
And now we're gonna have to go to Grotto's Pizza over Christmas.
We are, honey. I want me some Grotto's Pizza, y'all. If you are next time you are driving through anywhere in Delaware or even in Philadelphia, because there's some in Philly, go to Grotto's Pizza. It is the weirdest pizza ever when you compare it to everybody else, but it is good. So good. It is, and then get a
Rita's water ice right after.
Give me some Rita's.
Do you call it water ice?
Yeah. What else would I call it? Oh, Italian ice?
Italian ice. People make fun of me for calling it water ice. Yeah, because they're like, well, ice is water. And I'm like...
No, it's Rita water ice, honey. Water ice.
It's water ice, goddammit. All right. I love you so much, Peppermint. Thank you all for listening to today's Marti Talks with Peppermint. Our guest next week is Tony Award winner Laura Benanti. So we will see you then. Thanks for listening to Marti Talks. This podcast is presented by The Only Productions, Mitch Farino, and Bob the Drag Queen. Editing is also done by Mitch Farino and Bob the Drag Queen. Check out other podcasts, videos, and live events at theonlyproductions.com. Make sure you're registered to vote. Tell your friends and family to register to vote and get to the polls. Our democracy and our lives are at stake. Thanks again. You can find me on all social media at Marti G. Cummings. Until next time, spread love and don't be a dick.